So let's get moving. Welcome to the polarizing Boomi AI Agents Workshops, supported by Polarizing, but with our good friends and colleagues at Boomi providing the content around the Boomi product and AI implementation. So first of all, let me introduce who you'll be seeing today. First of all, Sebastian. Sebastian is from Boomi and is a great advocate of AI and the Boomi product generally. He'll be taking us through how Boomi can help you with AI. Guillaume is going to join us towards the end for a Q&A session. Guillaume runs our Boomi practice and has been helping all our customers implement Boomi. And we're investing heavily in this AI capability and using that with customers outside of Portugal and elsewhere in Europe and the UK. So both are keen runners. Sebastian covers long distances when he can, around marathons, and Guillaume is a keen middle distance runner. And Sebastian loves tennis. He's a great tennis fan. So hopefully, if we do our job today, you'll walk away with understanding what an AI agent really is, where they add value in enterprise environments, and how agents interact with integration platforms and existing systems. So the demo will take you through all of this and what you can automate and the questions you must ask before putting agents into production. So part of the challenge of AI is ensuring that we do things in a safe way. So we're not putting people or companies at risk through the use of technology that doesn't necessarily have clear understanding of what was right and wrong, and how do we ensure that those safeguards are kept and held. So the agenda we'll walk through, what an AI agent is, how the Boomi control tower can manage agent sprawl. You'll see a live demo of how to create an AI agent. And then, as I said, we'll have Guillaume join us for Q&A. So if I could invite Sebastian to join me, I'll stop my share now. Thank you. Welcome, Sebastian. I shall leave you to it.
Hi, Michael. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so I guess you can see it. Okay, perfect. So today, I'm going to explain you what is an AI agent and how you can use it. So to start, what is an AI agent? It's a smart application. It can be fully autonomous. This means it works completely on its own to-do task, like building product, or it can be semi-autonomous, acting as a smart assistant inside a workflow. Think of them as a mini application that solves specific problems. You just give them a goal, and then the agent think, make decision, and take action. For example, it can place online order or even start a physical 3D printer. This is the power of AI agent. So what can AI agent can actually do? They can do many useful things for your business. First, they help your employees. They can assist human workers or even do specific tasks for them. This boosts personal productivity, and we are going to see it today, and makes everyone more efficient. And second, they great for business process automation. They can automate entire workflow to save your time and optimize how you work. And finally, they are very smart with data. They can collect data, they can analyze data, quickly retrieve information, and even simulate complex systems. In short, they make your daily operation much smoother. So, if AI agents are so great, why is it so hard to use them? Because this is where most AI projects fail. Actually, making the AI agent is the easy part. The real problem is connecting the agent to all your business system. This takes 90% of the work. It is very simple. If there is no connectivity, the AI has no context. And without context, you have no control. And without control, there is no business impact. And for example, MIT research shows us exactly why this happens. They found 95% of AI pilots fail to deliver ROI. Why? Because basic chatbot cannot adapt to complex business processes. There is also a budget problem. Companies spend over half of their AI money on front office tools. They're nice for personal tasks, but the value is very hard to measure. And the goal today is also to explain you how we can measure it. The real money is in the backup office automation. This is where you can actually track KPIs and prove your ROI. The company that win are the one to start with a common foundation. Their IT leaders work closely with business teams to build real, measurable solutions. So now let's look under the hood. What makes up the anatomy of an agent? Think of it's like a new digital employee. First, it has an environment and perception. This is how it sees your business by reading text, data, or alert, for example. Next is the brain. It uses memory and logic to understand the data and make decisions, just like a human worker. But here is the most important action. A smart brain is useless if you cannot do anything. To bring real value, the agent must be able to trigger API calls, update your system, execute processes. This is where the real magic happens. And for that, how do we make this agent work? Like any engine, an AI agent needs fuel. For an agent, fuel means data. And this data come from APIs, web service, file, mail, and so on. And the good news, Boomi already connects all of this data using a simple low-code approach. We provide the clean, reliable fuel your agent needs. But having fuel is not enough. You need to put the agent into action. Boomi allows you to easily drop this agent directly into your daily workflow, and we are going to see it. And because Boomi Act use your control tower, you get full visibility, strict security, and clear audit trail. We give you the foundation to build and run AI agents safely at scale. And let's be clear. When we say AI agent, we do not mean basic chatbots you already know, like ChatGPT, Copilot, and now Claude. Of course, they are great for writing emails, summarize documents. We call this horizontal use case. They boost personal productivity, but they have major limits. They do not know your business context. They cannot make real business decision. The real ROI does not come from general tools. It's come from vertical use case. This means putting smart AI agent directly into your specific business workflow, like the bottom half of this table show. And that is exactly what Boomi makes different. And this is exactly where Boomi helps you the most. We focus on vertical use case. Instead of a passive chatbot, imagine an active agent. Imagine a financial reporting agent that generates consolidated reports to reduce close cycle time. Or an invoice agent reconciliation that match invoices to purchase orders to cut manual effort. Or, like today, a ticket triage agent that categorizes customer support tickets to improve response speed. These are real AI agents. They have business context. They have reason. They complete tasks. And they do not wait for you to tip a prompt. They are triggered automatically by business event, like a new invoice arriving or a new mail for the customer. And why is this a fastest route to the ROI? Because directly impact your bottom line. It's not just about saving few minutes. It's about direct cost saving, less risk, and solving manual error-prone tasks. Now, imagine you have not just one, but 10 or 50, 100 AI agents working in your company. And imagine that some of these agents are not built only in Boomi, but come from other vendors. What happens? It's quickly become chaos. We call this agent sprawl. And when you have many agents, governance, visibility, and coordination become critical. You need to know exactly what they are doing. And this is why we built Boomi Control Tower. Think of it as your central command center. It's orchestrate all your agents whether they are inside Boomi or outside of Boomi. It monitors their performance and maintains strict control at scale. And with Boomi, you get the massive power of multiple AI agents, but with zero chaos. Okay. Oh, sorry. Now we are going to dive into the agent creation. Okay. Before the demo, let's understand why this use case matters. Today, when a ticket or an email come in, a human has to read it, categorize it, prioritize it, assign it, and sometimes reassign it when the first guess was wrong. 6 manual steps on every single ticket. The result, your teams spend more time sorting than solving. And the bigger the company gets, the more this process becomes a bottleneck. And for that, here, what we aim for when we put an AI agent on ticket triage. The objective, accelerate triage and improve its accuracy by automating classification and prioritization. We measure 3 KPIs: auto classification, accurate rate, the average triage time, going from minutes to seconds, and the SLA adherence rate. And this deliver 3 concrete outcomes: better SLA, compliance, operational efficiency, your team solve instead of sort, and continuous improvement because the agent keep learning over time. Okay, now let's jump into the demo. So for that, I'm going to go to the AI agent. So here is the Agent Studio. And for that, I'm going to create a new agent. I can build with AI. So can you imagine? I ask AI to create my AI agent. Okay, but if I do that, we can finish in few minutes, and it's not the goal. I would like to show you in more in details how it works. So I'm going to do it manually. Fine. You have three steps to create your agent. I say three, but you can add four steps if you want to test it, and it's better. Okay, now the first step is to define the profile. I need a goal. Okay, makes sense. It looks like a prompt. Okay, so for example, here I'm going to ask him to be a customer support specialist for Acme. You can imagine it's a fictive company. Okay, and the goal is to read the customer message, to use some tools I'm going to show you just after, and to synthesize a single clear professional response. Okay? For that, I can use three tools. It means three APIs in this demo, but in the real life, it could be different system like CRM, like a knowledge center, and so on. And for example, we can imagine someone ask, where is his order? Okay, so we can connect on the API to check the order. And imagine the customer said, okay, but now I have to change my delivery address. So we can update the delivery address, and you can imagine the order status and the shipping address could be different. Okay. It's for this reason I have different tools. And then we can imagine this one ask a question about his order. Okay. And for that, we will use a third API with a knowledge base. Okay. And I explained that we can work with XML because this API is simulating with XML. Okay, perfect. Now I can define a name. Okay, so here you can see it suggests me a name. Okay, but I would like to change it, just like customer ticket triage. Fine. Now I would like to configure the model. I can choose a standard model, either quality or fast. For the demo, it's better to use fast, but in the real life, we can use standard. And if I want, I can choose to extend in the thinking, but for the demo, it's not necessary. So adjustment. What is adjustment? Adjustment means you can interact with the agent with two types. The first is the conversational, like a chatbot or like by email and so on. Okay, so it means human language. And you can use the structure. It means, for example, you have a JSON with a structure file. Okay, so here it makes sense to do conversational. Okay, perfect. Now I can define the personality. Okay, here I can let like that. After my test, I can adapt a little bit. I can choose a voice. Here, I think it's better to choose a professional voice. Yes, it's better. And then a conversation starter. It's not mandatory, but I recommend to use it because it helps the agent to understand how can start the conversation. Okay. So for example, we can imagine um, where is my order or how I troubleshoot and so on, etc. Okay, perfect. So now, as you can see, my profile is done. I can save and continue. And now, the second step. If you remember, an agent, the goal is to be autonomous. Okay, so I'm going to define some tasks. Okay, the first task, if you remember, is to retrieve all information from the customer. Okay, so I can define a name and a description, but the most important is the instruction. And here I define how it has to work in this task. Okay. So for example, If the customer mention order, delivery, etc., he has to use this API. If the customer asks something about the product, we can use the knowledge. If the customer asks to update something, to use the first or the second, so we can call both. Okay? In the instruction, it's always better to give some example to the agent. Okay, perfect. So my first task is done, and I have to connect it with the external tool. Yes, why? Because the agent need to be connected on the real life. Okay, so for example, I said I'm going to connect with the order API and with the acknowledgement API. Okay, perfect. Fine. So my first task is ready. Perfect. Now I'm going to define the second task. Imagine if the customer said in the same request, I want to update my address. Of course, it won't be the same API with the order. Okay. For example, it could be on the CRM, for example. Okay. So, oops, sorry. So I define a name and a description, and then I'm going to give him the instruction. Okay, so here, for example, I said this case is only when the customer explicitly provide new information to update their record. And we have governance rules. We can define it here, or we can define it in the guardrails. We are going to see it later. Okay, perfect. So now I can add this task, and this task, I'm going to add an external tool too. So it will be the API for the customer address. Okay, perfect. I'm going to add this tool and save it. Fine. Now I have my second task ready. Do you remember what was the third task? It's the report. It's a response. Okay. So here I explain him that the agent need to synthesize the information and to give a response. Okay. So for that, I'm going to give him the instruction. So it's important to explain what you want the agent do. Okay. It's for this reason here I had more information, and you will understand why it's important. Okay, perfect. So now I had the task, and I don't need to connect with tools because it will give the response. Perfect. Now my tasks are ready. And the third step, it's very important about the guardrails. The guardrails has two functions. The first is about the ethic AI. It's very important. And the second role is about to explain what the agent can do, but what the agent can't do. And here, I'm going to define a block message. Okay, so for example, I can't help you with that. If you need, please contact a human agent, for example, and we can imagine what we want. And when you define a denied topic, you can define, sorry, a topic, or you can define some word. For example, okay, I do not want hack, for example. Okay. And for tonight topic, I'm going just to add only one, for example, about financial and commercial decision. If the customer ask, if the customer ask something about the commercial, for example, a refund or discount or something like that, we are going to say no. Okay, perfect. And for that, look like the prompt at the origin, we can define some example. Okay. And as I said, the example is important. Okay, so I'm going to add two examples. It will be enough. So, oops, sorry. Up. So, for example, I can, if someone asks me a refund of my order or if he want a discount, so we said no. Perfect. So now it means we have my prompt, we have my task, and now, and we have the guardrails. And now we can test it before to deploy it. So for example, we can imagine a ticket or an email or something like that. So hi, I'm writing about my order and so on. Okay. So here you can see the response. So um, the AI agent asks the API the the tracking about this order, okay, and we can reply it's in transit. And she said she want to modify the address. So here we can see ta-da-da-da, the address update confirmation. And about the question, because for example, she want to understand what means the pending tracking, and we ask the third tool with the knowledge. Perfect. So now I can deploy this agent, and this agent is ready. Perfect. So now we can automate it. And for that, I'm going to create a new process into Boomi. So, for example, this one I'm going to show you later. So, for example, for in live, I'm going to create a new process. Just for the demo, we can start from nothing. And I'm going to define the message here. It means this message could be a ticket, could be a mail, something like that. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to call the agent. And for the agent, is going to take sometime less 1 minute to take all agent availability. Okay. Okay, perfect. So if I choose customer, okay, so for example, I can use this one. Perfect. And I can generate the configuration. For that, I do not need to do anything. Okay. And he said, I have a token. Okay, perfect. So I just will put my token. Oops, sorry. Perfect. Okay, fine. And now my agent is ready. So if I test it, I can test it. Okay. I choose a runtime to execute this process. And up, so we are waiting. And that I'm going to show you is a second example, quite better for the production, the real life. So we can imagine here, I have an email to send the agent and we send the reply. Okay, so here it finished the test. So it means here we have the request here, and here we have the agent response. When I said agent response, it means we have a lot of information. It's important to have this information to for the audit, for example. It's very important, and you can see each step how it works, and then we can see the response. Okay, perfect. Now, if we go back to the agent, we saw the we explained the agent control tower. As I said, imagine you have 1, 2, 10, 50, 100 agent inside Boomi or outside of Boomi, and you have to manage all of them. So for that, it's easier to manage it into the control tower. And control tower, you can see all your agents. Okay, so for example, here you have an animation about all of agents. Okay, you can manage the provider. So here I just have Boomi, but if you have some agent in Bedrock or Copilot or Snowflake, Salesforce, or if you want to customize, it's possible. And you can monitoring it. You can do some audits and so on. So it's very, very useful. In the real life, it's very useful. Okay, perfect. So to finish, we are going back here. So just just to explain now what how you can start. So here it's how best practice to find your ideal AI use case today. First, you need to bring different teams together in small groups. Pitch your ideas, but make sure they align with your strategic goals. And remember what we discussed earlier, focus on vertical use case specific to your business, not individually, but for business. And next, filter your ideas to keep only a short list of 8 or 10 options. And finally, pick a single big winner. You must choose the one that brings the most business value with the least complexity. This will give you a clear roadmap to build your very first AI agent. Thank you.
Sebastian, that was excellent. Thank you. And on behalf of Polarizing and all of the attendees, I really appreciate the work that you've done today. It's opened my eyes and given me a lot more clarity on how to do things. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome.
So we're moving into the Q&A section. I'd like to invite Guillaume from our Boomi practice to join me and us, and he's some questions for you. And if you do have questions as in the attendees, please do share them on the chat. I believe that's open for questions.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Sebastian. Hello, Michael. Sebastian, I have a question for you, and I think this is a concern for I will say all of us when you use AI. So, how do you prevent the agent from making things up or going off script?
If I understand well the question, you can create an agent with a script because if you create one, okay, why not? But if you need to create 5, 10, a lot of AI agents, you can't manage, you can govern it. So it's for this reason, it's important to manage them with the control tower. And for that, I also have 3 levels. So for example, the system instruction where we explicitly tell the agent to never fabricate data and to rely only on tool response. The second, the guardrails, which block out of scope topics, reform, legal advice, sensitive data, etc. And third, as I said, the control tower, because every call is in the audit what the agent did.
Okay. So in one word, you can control what the agent do, you can tell him what not to do, and at the end you can still see what he's doing. Okay, it's nice. It's good. So imagine, or I will say, our agent is working. what's the concrete ROI we have an agent like this? Okay. How can we get the ROI?
Mm, mm. It's interesting because, for example, in this use case, we can see three measurable gains. So we can see 60 to 80 reduction in handling time. And the agent is never sleep, never holidays, never take a coffee. No, 24 hours, 7 days per week, availability, and no extra cost, and scalability. So your team can absorb 10 more and more volume without hiring. And the real gain is just not financial, it's freeing up your human agent to handle complex, high value case where empathy and human judgment really matter.
Okay. Okay, understood. So you give the AI what is, I will say, repetitive tasks, low
Yeah,
simplicity, and you keep the real hard work for the people.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly, exactly.
Okay. So following this, if we want to use Boomi AI, do we need to rebuild our entire integration to use an agent?
Oh no, 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 no! And that's exactly the whole point of Boomi. If you already have Boomi integration in place, APIs, processes, connect to Salesforce, CRM, SAP, and so on, those integration become tools for your agent directly. So you leverage what you already built. The agent sits on top as a reasoning layer above your integration layer. The two are complementary, not competing.
Okay. So AI is integrated into Boomi as an example. So
Exactly.
you can put AI in the integration, you can put AI using the integration. So it is really the piece
Yeah.
of the platform in
Yeah.
itself. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So now imagine I have, I don't know, 10 Boomi agents, and I have the other department, they have another Copilot agent, and the other
Yeah.
department say they want their local LLM or something like that. Can
Yeah.
we can control all of these agents at some scale? How can we
Yeah.
control this?
Yeah, and it's an excellent question because it's a real life, and it's exactly what Agent Control Tower is for. You get a centralized view of your agent, who's using them, what they are doing, how much they cost, which tool they call, what decisions they make. You can audit every session. You can set up alerts, you can suspend an agent if needed, and apply organization level security policies. It's a cockpit of your agent without it. You just simply don't deploy it to production. So it's it's very look like sometimes some customers said it's a command center.
Okay, okay, very good. So you have a control center to keep the agent tight and not
Yeah,
moving.
exactly.
Battery. Okay, and the last one is not really a question, but it is at some point. So people saw what you did on the workshop. We talk about the agents, but if we want to start using Boomi AI, what is the best way to start using it? Okay, at the first approach, what you can do just to see how Boomi AI works. Do you know?
Oh, you can contact Polarizing. Um, also, for example, we have a marketplace with some example, and for example, you can start with that. Yeah.
Okay, that seems perfect if you have templates. And I heard also we have an agent marketplace where we can use
Yes.
agents. They are being produced. That's awesome.
Exactly, exactly. And it's for this reason when I started, I explained I can start with an AI agent to explain what I want like an AI agent, but if I did it with 5 minutes and the webinar was finished. So it was this reason I explained step by step how I created it. But yes, you can use the agent to create an agent. Yes.
Okay, okay, perfect. Okay, so I have no more question from her side. If the audience have more questions, send us the questions at sales@polarizing.com. Me and Sebastian will do our best to answer it. So now I'll pass the word to Michael.
Hi, I don't see any further questions from the team, but again, thank you, Sebastian, and thank you, Guillaume, for excellent conversation there. I guess if anybody does have questions, they can always get in touch with us through the emails that we've been sending out, and of course, just feel comfortable contacting me or any of the people on the webinar today. We'd be delighted to help. And we will be following up just to make sure that if there are any questions that are standing, we can resolve those. But again, finally, thank you so much, and everybody else, enjoy your day.
Thank you. Bye bye.